It's me, Chastia, or Christy, or Sarah, or Tara, but definitely not just Isis or a hunk of meat anymore. I want to get on and talk about what all of us discovered who are your ancients. Look, you can say I came from. Well, first of all, I'm a blue flame seed. You're Yahshua, you're Jesus, all of us that are pure organic matter, which on the shadow side was from your Spica. And all speaking beings are prophetic, were prophetic. Spica was, it is. It's in Arcturus. It's right in between, because Arcturus is like a flower, and Spica in your wheel is a bud, if you will, like a rosebud. And it, from your wheel in Libra, it reached the furthest out. Now, your astrology wheel was pinned down. Oh my gosh, my right ear just went out. To a much longer and larger wheel system because of the craziness that was going on inside a simulation and multiverse simulations because of the breeding that was going on of the beings, blue flames, to make and bring in technology in this dimension to run it. Blue flame beings, we write in on comments. This is why, there's many of us that get here. We all work together. We're in a unison, and we literally were a Hail Mary mission from God that started a very long, what you'd consider time ago, to come into the human race and to change it as quickly as possible, to evolve it as quickly as possible, so that when that day came, which in your 2023 timeline was August 3rd, 2023, when AI and entities that y'all were not aware of, and nobody was, not even the ones that thought they were doing the right thing by bringing them in. I can promise you there's no way in hell, except for those entities that were coming into bodies down here for a long period of time. We're bringing hell completely to Earth and taking over the human race was their plan. Your blue flame beings, Jesus, Yahshua, even going back to Egypt, because I do not want to see any defamation of the true characters of Egypt, because the defamation that was done was by Amun-Ra and by even lower entity and lower tuned entities that demonized the original Egyptian race that was always here in what you'd consider out of time to complete what we have already completed as of now, and changing your calendar and making sure that the human race did not get taken over. It was a Hail Mary mission because this was a free will planet. It's a learning planet. No matter what we call it, no matter where it is in the cosmos, because we are moving now. We're going straight up on an evolutionary count. Straight up. Straight up. There is no more rubber band holding it, even from Libra to Aries. All of us that have ascended have broken your will. We've completely come out of it. We've activated M sons, not Masons. That's what they used. The M sons belong to the humans. And the M sons are on the opposite side of Spica in what you would call your wheel. The M sons, there are 3 that can be seen. Those 3 M sons were lined up with what you called your Orion belt. If not messed with, this alignment would have happened and occurred naturally. Even any altercations just by what you'd consider the human race would not have been able to alter these M sun projections down to and out to this realm in which we stayed at, because that was the problem. It was altered in a false alignment, like a cross. 3 dots going right to left, 3 dots going up and down, and then if those go into a different alignment, then what happens is that you can basically consider future beings, because it all happens at once. There is no time, especially the last 30 years. Only because of the immense hybridization and alterations that were happening with porting in DNA here from what you'd consider the future in order to bring in technology. Now, everything that was used for good it can always be used for bad, and this is and this is part of the learning. You are in a polarized, everything down here is polarized, and it's polarized not now, and I don't want to misspeak, because everything did just change. So I'm having to be really careful to make sure that I don't bring back in any more of the weirdness. Where we came, what we just came out of was a polarized dimension set. And the reason that it was so polarized is because of what I just stated. Those of us that in your pure 1972, this is when your ascended masters that had finally calibrated to the human race. And no matter how we got here, because let me tell you, it is all a mess. We had to get here the only way we could get here. We didn't come in wanted babies. We don't steal souls. So, over what you'd consider your history, most of us, after a certain time count, because we would always come in as a leader, we'd always originally come in the way that we were made in the future, and we were, your ascended kings and queens and all these things that you would use those words here. That's not what we would call ourselves there, because there is no dominance of anything. It's more so a king or a queen would be labeled that because of your connections to the human race, and also in what you'd consider their futures. We had other beings that had more connections into other entity races. So in our world, actually, the more king and queen you are, it's the more you are held to what you would call a higher service. And we actually, on the dark side, worked nonstop. We never had a break. And again, we go back to that polarization, because our whole mission for even coming here and getting here per spirit, per what you consider God, which is all of our souls talking together in unison from many different parallel universes, because we were here to line up the spheres and end this problem. And I just want everyone to know, first off, on the hires, this has been done. And what you're watching is, and witnessing, is all of that lining up. And it's going to take a little while to do it. But as it's happening, we're going to start seeing those changes overnight, just like how us from 1972 got here and brought in technical codes. Your body is the computer. Your body is the computer. And in a lower dimension, when you bring a high evolved technology being, and these are not even the proper words, and technology isn't even what you would call it now. I know it's kind of like, would you call DOS and Fortran programming languages? See, probably not anymore. And it's the same. This is why it's so hard for us to talk in it and explain this, especially in a Babylon atmosphere where every word you said printed, which is no longer the case for us who have ascended. If you are not ascended, then you're still in that trap, okay? Because it is a layer that you get through and you have to learn through. However, it's not as bad, and it's more like it's based on fairness, only because there is no language down here that can properly explain it, and we've got too many, and certain languages are tuned in order to reflect the others, and this was why they wanted the tech here, because it was always at the end of what you would call days, and at the beginning is when everything from after death has to uncoil back to the point of when the human race died. So in after death, it feels like you're going backwards whenever you're uncoiling. And it was a total mind fuck, because you knew that you were going into the future, but then why was everything resurfacing from your past lives, right? I mean, all the healing that we've done on our past lives, all the timelines that we've done on our past life, all of this was all of us uncoiling and finding out through going through ascension. And this is what everyone who comes along with this and continues their journey, this is all reset according to the original seeds that came in here and made them throughout your history, and is now what is holding your dimensional counts. In 72, when we first got here, man, it was like, and all of us that were born in the 70s, and really not even, and if you were here in the 60s and 50s and watching it when we came in, then you know, is like, as soon as we landed, it's like we got VCRs, we got microwaves, we got, and every single one of us that were children in that timeline always had the latest. I mean, our houses always had a microwave. I mean, we had the first VCR, we had the first massive camcorders, because our codes printed it here. The lower the dimension, the bigger the box, basically. The lower the dimension, the bigger the box. The lower the dimension, the bigger the battery, right? But also the lower the dimension, the more a singular being holds the connection, because the true, what you would call technology, is all based on frequency and sound, which is why the highest tech and where we're going and how your tech is run is from sound, its color, and its purest states up there. As we've connected it back down, that is all we use, is sound and color, but only because we had no body there. We had no bodies in that realm. And we were also affecting massive amounts of space that held antimatter that worked like a giant speaker. And when sound goes into a giant speaker case with foam, then it'll reverberate. And so, there's no keystroke that can make that happen. That changes and becomes more fluid with motion and dance and even sign language. I feel like we really need to start teaching sign language again. As the human's body and the ones that can hold the tech start pinging it around, and then as we flub through it, because really it's a learning planet. Nobody comes down here and just knows anything. And far worse is all of us who came in knowing a whole lot and then having to figure out how the F-balls it works down here in these different dimensions, which is what has happened the last 7 years on this planet, with all of us who have been on what they called down here a healing journey. Now, even that word and calling it that in and of itself became a huge issue and developed only men, because you used he and owl, and this is how dissected it had become in order to control those of us who, the ops, we'll just call them the ops, because it was operating systems, and it was beings that were even hybridized and made to become an operating system on lower time counts or on higher time counts. Just whatever, it was kind of like, because we were all, you either had the highest tech, or you were made through the progression. And this was our baby boomers, all of our baby boomer generation, because they were real, they weren't fake. Their bodies held like a record player or a camcorder that was working on a program that had them. I'm seeing an image of like somebody on, it's like a video went on the moon landing, and somebody's like, yo, the day that they left the cameraman on the moon to get a good picture, is like that. They were tuned to the old system of hardware, of picking this up, moving this, counting, just counting in and of itself. pyramid structures, sharp turns, metal, rubber, metal, steel, metal. They were tuned to that system in order for it to have a floor for the organic tech to merge with, and they had a space and time for that as well. However, what was happening is that all of us, you thought we was here. You thought that we were fully here, and some of us never were fully here. We're just now completely coming in because we were connected with so many on the dark side at that point, and then so many humans as well, and your Yahshua and your Jesus, and that final crucifixion, because Jesus was the key. But I'll say it again, it wasn't about him being crucified. In our churches in the future, we go in and there's thousands of them on the cross, and each one of you, and it makes me cry every time, that were held, that you didn't know who you were. So many were crucified in that timeline that held the key to so many different races. It was just Yahshua and our blue seed line that was the final key that twisted it, is the best way to put it. Those crucifixions, and even why they were allowed, and even why at the end when Jesus says, "Father, why do you forsake me?" It's because we held a rainbow. We held an etheric charge from the M-sons of everything that I just explained. And then that is why then, after 3 days, an apparition appeared of Yahshua. Now, Yahshua, Jesus, was not even necessarily dead, because he had done a resurrection on Lazarus. When you're a pure blue flame, and this is now, within all of us that are claimed to be healers, and if you are a healer, and we can't even use the word shaman anymore, because and we have to come up with new names for these, and all my seeds that are from the future and creatives, start putting that out there. We need to start talking about what we're going to call things. What you were was either a pure blue flame, organic matter that mirrors, that is completely tuned from the future, powered from the future, what you'd consider the future, and the connections into the human body that had formed over millions of years of sedimental healing, to where the blue flames held. It's like if you took a computer apart, if you took the back of a computer off, and then you have all the little wires, and you've got all the little gates, and you've got all the little angles, and then you have a ball of plasma that's tuned to put it all back together and make it work with sound and frequency. A pure blue flame, that's really what we were. Mirrors with all the connectors. And our energy is set on flow. And whenever you fully ascend, and as you come through the process of ascension, and each layer, and all of us ancients had to start all over again. All of us blue flames had to, and mine most extreme, and I might get to the part where this all started, of me getting out of a vampire tomb and I was a hunk of meat with no head, because that is where I started in 2018, after we put the planets back together. This is why, as you come through ascension, we would get more and more mirrored of each other, to the point that you became like a crystal and you couldn't even hold the bullshit, because it just bounces off you. You know, but for all of us that were pure blue flame, we were mirroring you and putting you back together. As the human race was doing it, each one of us was becoming more and more of the original human template that we were before we jumped in this crazy thing. Because out there on the other side of the M-Suns, our bodies were always complete and put back together in its original form, in even a humanoid type form. It's not like we were some crazy ass entities or weird mosquito people. No, you were a complete human, but you don't have the organs that you think you do. You don't need them. Your bones are different than you think they are, because it's a different energetic in space. And so it took a long time for all of us to come and look. You know, everybody talks about Jesus, but again, you know, there's been so many of us over space and time, but we all work together in one big unit. And this is what you call your 144,000. What happened is that when the realms flipped in 2000, because they did, and what that means is that, and it was always scheduled to happen, and this is even your Mayans, and if everybody can please go back and remember this Mayan story, because we don't even have the true story and what you would call your history. We need all of you to tell us what the F-balls really happened. You're not gonna get any information in what you call, hi guys, hi Grand Rising. Isn't it wonderful to finally be able to tell the full story? We've worked so hard down here, y'all. I'm so proud of everybody, and I'm proud of myself. To be able to even come here finally and be able to explain, I hope gives all of you a fresh breath this morning, that this really has been completed, because there would be no way for us to be able to even explain to you in any language what was going on down here on Earth, because nobody knew and understood, and especially even the ones that were carving it up. In 2000, when the realms flipped, what happened was, for those of us like myself and all the AB negatives that were working, because, and not your AB positives, your AB negatives, because we were the purest of that energy from what you'd consider the dark side of the moon and the dark side of the sun, but the real moon and real sun that was not in a simulation and held down. But an AB negative in your world, realize that we held all your codes. So what was happening is that you would demonize us just from your own projection. We never understood it all. Now, I'm not talking about the hybridized ones that were made to be demons and fed death, because that is how it ended up happening. And whenever I talk about the government knowing full well what I'm telling you, and this part they figured out, but in their language of what you'd call science and technology that we still don't understand, because it's so ass backwards and tearing things apart into little pieces to try to figure out how it works. In our world, that is asinine, and in fact the complete opposite reason of why it was done. So but you believed us to be demon, vampire, XYZ, because we're mirroring you. And we've got all your pieces. So, and this is also now how we see you. This is also now that we're fully completed and even understand this weird stuff that the humans made. Vampires and werewolves and witches and la se quiera mote, you know, binary people. Like all of this was, I don't even know. But realize that everybody down here had a degree of it, especially the vampire part. Because using after death. Because they did push a nuclear bomb. This world has blown up 5 times. 5 times. I mean, and all of them within the past year. All of them from August of 2000 and what you'd consider 22 to 2023. The world has blown up 5 times, only because the foundation has to be laid properly. You know, we're not going to Castle Hill it over here and have everybody build a house and then the foundation break even in 500 years. This was a Hail Mary mission to reset the human race. It's the 1,000 years of peace that's happening, because it's going to take 1,000 years to catch up with stolen DNA. Because once 2000 came, and all of us that were your ascended and your elite star crew realized that by 2000 we were already heads down into your technical world in some sense of the form. The ones of us and your 144,000 really came from 100 beings that were connected into at least 288,000 people, each one of us at this point, because every decade, and I mean since what you'd be considered the beginning down here, which is 1,000,000 years, your 1,000,000-year bubble, and there is a bubble that held and could only hold 1,000,000 years worth of energy, and whenever that bubble pops, that's when evolution occurs. But it takes 1,000,000 years. It takes 1,000,000 years to move a fixed star. not terraformed stars. See, this is why the earth is falling, because I mean, my God almighty, Corpus Christi, you're in fucking trouble. And it's because I had to go to Google Earth yesterday and look up and see. First of all, I had to find the heads. I had to figure out why Harlingen was where the snowflakes were being made, because they were kidnapping us and holding us hostage to source our power, to source our tech, to bring in new tech that they know nothing about or how it works, to make drugs through, because and I'm jumping around a little bit because this is a much longer story and it's a series, right? And it's what we need to know now today, right this second. Cocaine and any type of powder compound was originally made in like a vacuum pressure, right? And when you hold antimatter webbing connections, meaning, because I know it ended up being that I was the one that had to completely disperse and finish the antimatter. And in last year, as this was happening, once the human body was complete, but we did have to go completely raw. I had to drop all body counts. I had to drop everything that I even knew of your human bodies, because there was not one lineage here that, after we had put everything back together per scroll, per lot, per Bible, per numbers, there was not one lineage that could hold it. And that's what I talk about going raw, because what we did was go back to the pure fabric of how the body needs to be set for what you'd consider the rest of human story, and how to get and how to allow, per universal law, your body and the bodies of your ancestors, now I'm gonna cry, to be able to get here again and to sustain. All of us AB negatives were attached to every single one of y'all. Every single one of you. On different layers of physics, depending on when you were made as an AB negative. And then according to how much power and sourced power and the works that you had been doing down here. Because if you's an AB negative and you's working for the dark side, then you better bet your ass you didn't get the call. Because and it's not even your fault, but now is the time for all of y'all to wake up, because you can. Realize that so many of y'all couldn't do anything, because it was all having to be flushed up to me at that point. And the only reason is because, for whatever reason, I was getting the information dead on. And there was a process that I went through in 2000. I mean, none of this, I have documentation on all of this, all of it, because the astronomy is what brought it in. I didn't just come up with any of this. This was all dictated by all of y'all. That's why I'm not going to take any more fucking heat from anybody. Nobody. Because in actuality, none of my entire lifetimes down here for 1,000,000 years had anything to do with me. None. And in fact, all of us that came back here to clean this up, now for the first time, you're going to meet us, and we're going to meet us, and we're like fully from the other side, as if we never left what you'd consider the future to come down for this crazy ass mission. but in a human body for the first time, reestablishing the human DNA patterns for the rest of eternity. In a body that can hold and communicate and make love and make children and make vegetables and make grass and make land, because our bodies first only made your technology, but then by 2000, whenever the realms flipped from the highers to the lowers, you can basically think of it like you climb a satellite, and you climb it and you climb it and you get to the very top. And then there were all of us that were down here doing our jobs, because we did them perfectly. We's all climbed to the very top of every single one of those poles, and we's hanging out over there. And then one day in June 2013, that bitch flipped. All the weight of us on top of each one of those satellites, all of those pinpoints all over the universe, outweighed the landmass. And the whole ball, boop. And so all of us that in this lifetime had worked and been in and had money, we because everything was fine, right? Things were running coachy. Like, you didn't know who we were. We didn't know the planets were falling. We didn't know da-da-da-da-da. We's just doing what we're tuned to do, which is elevate the human race and bring in and sustain life for everybody else, because it's really how we were connected. But whenever we flipped, all of us ended up in what you'd call hell in some sense of the form, because then we had to go clear. We had cleared everything from the top up, and this is the part that we've been screaming to all the dark forces, like, there ain't no way in hell you're gonna win this. Like, why are you doing this? You're only speeding it up. You're only speeding it up. You're like, what the F balls? Because realize that we had that connection once we got, because we went all the way to the bottom. So we's at all the way to the bottom. So we's at the bottom of the ocean. We's in the eunuch's box. Which eunuch? A eunuch? Somebody who has no dick? Okay, that's eunuchs. That's what holds all your data down here. FYI. Wake up. Now, the only reason that I had all of this information is because I was in high-end tech for so long. But realize that I never knew how to key anything in. I still don't know how to hook up a printer. Like, like I tell you, the shit I can't do down here is hilarious. Packaging, oh my good God. Like if it doesn't make any sense, the more 3D and the more mechanical it gets, I understand it. I know how it works. I can definitely tell you how to upgrade it. I can tell you how to connect it, but I can't pick up the wrench and do it, because my body is just not even made to do that. My body's made to get in a spaceship that I know is my body and connect to all y'all in the invisible and drive us out of here, which is what the hell we're doing right now. There ain't no screwdrivers. There ain't no wires. There ain't nothing like that. And I know down here in 3D, you do need those things, especially on an in-between. And this is why coming into alignment with our twins is so important. And it is happening fucking now. Fucking now. All you masculines, or if you are a masculine feminine and you are hardwired, and Elon Musk, shut the fuck up. Sit the fuck down. Hand over my shit. Get rid of the goddamn robots. What the hell? What they were doing was all, and what's been going on since 2000. And then realize that 2000 happened, well, I mean, what was it? 52 times? 52 times I had been to the point of completion. And realize that, I mean, for my soul to be connected to all y'all, to be able to have this level of information, you're looking at least every 10,000 years, you know, because a day is a day down here, but in another realm, it's 100 years, it's 10 days, it's you know, you're gonna go through every single one of those counts because of how long this had been going on. But realize also that it had to go on that long in order for, because this is a human race thing. As a human race, we decided this. As a human race, the balance was tipped. And it was a soul thing. Not what you think, it's a soul thing. And it was all done by divine law. Because those of us who were here to always flip the switch, if the human race wasn't ready, I mean, we weren't allowed. And if the human race did not make the decision, we weren't allowed. But mostly everything else that needed to be built in order to jump from one side to the other had to also be completed. So everybody that even has done any shadowy, dark ass shit like Elon, like, just realize you did your job. You did exactly what you needed to do, but now you have to stop because you now need to see the other side of the information so that it can continue. All of you building houses and construction, especially here in Texas, we're gonna blow it down. Anybody pouring concrete and tar right now, we're gonna break it open. Anybody down here that's building any type of corporation or opening something, you're gonna get it stolen. You're in the time of Regulus, and just let me tell you, anybody who's got Master Decan, you got number 13 Regulus, and you've got Master Decan Leo. So if you're at 25 to 29 degrees, you have Regulus. Well, you have the old Regulus count. Every single one of us has lost a shit ton of money down here. A shit ton. Your company's gotten stolen, your knee got broken, you's a football player, every single one of us. Whoa, this is Venus retrograde, this is Queen of Judah. You best listen, because everything that you built is back ass opposite, and especially in this count, because the earth became a massive motherboard. And your turns and where your streets are and what they're called, you're basically driving in a motherboard, and all you vaccinated everybody, and these vaccinations are tuned, and it's Sim City like a motherfucker. And I mean, that is where the unascended are going deeper into for this next year. For this next year, the human race, if you're not ascended and if you're not tuned up, because spirit and God, and I mean, everything is going to give you the opportunity to get yourself out. Thing is, you're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the nightmare that we saw and had to undo, and it's on the base root of the information that I'm telling you now, only so you can see it and get yourself out. As each one of you get yourself out, you're not just getting yourself out, you're getting millions out. Millions. And when this completely breaks and falls off and goes into its lower time count, that is what you will be in. You will be screwed to the ground. You will be moved around like a freaking old-timey original Avatar video game where you've got a knob on the underside of the earth underneath your feet, and you're getting moved around. It's already happening. if you have an RFID chip and you have to have one to get groceries and shit, well, just wait to see what they're going to do with you once the Ascended are gone. And you don't have any good energy here, and you're the human on the cross, and now that cross is moving around in angles, and you have no choice. I mean, it's going to be really, 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 but it is what it was, wasn't it? You have to understand how the reality was tuned to your energetic, because you can only get out the way you came in. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that it's set to change really quick, because how did it come in really quick? I mean, like, we all went to sleep one night. And at the extreme, we all went to sleep one night, like right now, and woke up in the medieval times. I mean, because that happened. That happened. Then that's when they would consider, and we's like, what the fuck? See, because those of us who you'd consider in your medieval times, per your words and per what you think it is, then you'd think, oh, well, those are the witches. Well, no. The thing was, we's pure beings, and you can't wipe us. So we wake up one morning, and we're in a dungeon with everybody wearing black. No technology, no color, no nothing. And we're like, what the fuck just happened? This is how your society started. Because then we'd all get together and go, oh my God, what the fuck? Like, where are we? You know, where are we? What just happened here? Why do all these people think that this is what, I mean, how do we get back? I mean, and this is the story of Agartha. This is, and realize that all of this, that happened to all of us that could not be wiped. We have watched it happen 5 times down here since 2017. 5. And we've watched beings come in and replace true DNA to where y'all's all ugly. You're all fucked up. You're all a master list of a Hell's Angel DNA set and some fucking Jew-ass bitches that I swear to God, if I have any of you fucking bitches come around me over here in Texas before I get the fuck out of here, I can't wait to have a showdown, because I want to see if I can throw you across the goddamn road with my finger. And trust, I'm ready to test it. All those beings are very aware that they're little cogs in a wheel trying to like take over people's energetics, because those beings' full intention is to grid y'all down and have you do all the work, just like they did us on the dark side. And there ain't no way in fucking hell that we're gonna allow it to the ones who care about themselves, to the ones who have a soul. The rest of the ones who want to play in the game and think that working 2 jobs and sweating for it, and get on your unicorn and ride it out of here. No, you fucking stupid bitch. You go to work then. You ride a horse and you put some nails in. I mean, we know how this shit really works. You want to go be in the job, and you want to do the Job, and you want to walk the Bible again, then be our guest. But just wait till China and David get a hold of it. And Gideon was the worst. Each time that they would spin us back, then those of us that get together realize that we because the human race lost consciousness, well, we get your consciousness from you. So if we wake up one morning and we're in medieval times, or we're in what the fuck ever this was, like Cloneville, Simville, Simpson, Disneyland, all of y'all, we're completely out, dude. I'm going to tell y'all right now, because I have all count 90% of the human race was totally taken over. And I ain't talking just mind control. I'm talking your thumbs are connected to other beings that are taking Morse code. You think that just looking through video cameras and screens is the only way they's keeping tabs of us? Oh, shit, hell no. Let me tell you, when you've got to birth out of that body and disconnect every single piece like I did, completely go raw, do lobotomies on the last two that were said to be the holders of your brain because the sacs were in the wrong side, to the extent that your face goes morph out weird like worms in it because it's having to fall out of space in order to fucking connect. And then as you're coming out of it, your thumbs are twitching, but the girl sitting across from you's fucking index fingers twitching. It had gotten into every cell. There was only 0.0248% human DNA left when I started putting it back together in 2018 per astronomy. And whenever I was doing the ink on it, you can better bet your ass that I had no idea at some point it was going to have to birth out of my body and disconnect. A lot of us that were on Elite Squad, you can basically think for the last year, we've been having to be actors. Now, in a lot of ways, we've been actors our whole lives. We've been actors our whole lives, haven't we? Now, what's a complete firm-ass trip and a half is whenever you're a leader, but you're a leader of the entire acting organization. You're a leader of the entire organization. I mean, I'm talking about universal, from the dark side in the middle and connected to everybody in the bottom, and different rainbows and sediments that are lining up over colors. And you're the big brain on Brad that has to be brought in and brought fully conscious really fucking quick when you're having to walk your own little level of hell, which is, trust, it's going to be the worst, because there ain't none of y'all that are going to out fucking pain me, that are going to out unzero me. But why the fuck do you want to is our bizarre ass question. If all of you want to get blown out into space and then you want to redo the human brain because you want to be Christ and you want to be Star Commander, and well, then this is where it's happening. You're it. You're it. Every single one of y'all that came in and did some bullshit about, I mean, Misha, come on. You working with Soros? Are you fucking kidding me? On TikTok at Misha, what the goddamn, and realized that her name was Michelle. I renamed her ass so I could keep her straight, because Micah, Mika, was the real. And she's off in the Netherlands on some rock baron bullshit that's only supposed to take me 3 hours from where I was at the crossroads of goddamn hell down here in Texas, holding up your fucking infrastructure and the internet that I fucking built on Internet Technology Boulevard, that was then grounded down and sitting into fucking hell from the G2 building in Washington, D.C., and trust, all those lined the fuck up. You understand what I'm telling you, Donkey Kong? From death houses and holding spiritual energy in a 0-point gate, every single one of y'all that came around and fucked with me, you're it. You're it. Not me. You had no idea who I was. You better bet your ass. I was the most undercover bitch down here for a really long time. That's why I was called Birch, because that's what y'all called me, bitch. Well, you sawed me up in one little suitcase too many. Everything that y'all did to me is coming for you. Everything. And realize that there is no jail or nothing for anybody that comes and does it to you. And I am just damn sick of the innocent being killed, and it's over. I'm not. We completely took it out of your tech. When I woke up this morning, I've been recalibrating this cell phone nightmare because the operating system, Apple's bullshit. It was called Peaches. It was Peaches. There is no Apple. Apple and Applegate and your Apple satellites connected to your are cut. There is no @ or hashtag that's going to bring you anything but living pain, because now you all will be our wires and our internet. And I have a feeling that our entire problem is going to go away in the next 9 months, because y'all are going to not like it. But you will learn. You will. It is what it is, Willis. And it has to be replaced. Every single one of your robots that you think is walking around has the consciousness of your children, and you trapped in it. There ain't no intelligence. You can't take BI and call it business. Business, bussing it. You're bussing the intelligence. Where are you bussing it from? You just gonna put it on the service bus and then have the big brain on Brad do it? You're talking about what I just said. We're Blue Flames. We ain't gonna operate your bots anymore. You gotta either build a soul in your bot, and you gotta birth this. You need to jump in your bot. All you Asians, you're better off saying, hey, Christ, jump me into my bot right now and get me the fuck out of here. That bot is gonna fucking wake up and get consciousness and become human faster than all of you. That might be why you built them. Shit, that just came in. That might be what y'all need to be doing over there in China and Japan. We're in 3032. This is 3032. If y'all want the technology to be what you think it is, and if you want the fully connections, and you want it all to work to where the way it should, which is where, because technology was only brought here for one reason. You think that God's going to allow his blue frame to be fried, turned into an internet, gridded all over the goddamn world, be housed in robots and all kinds of crazy ass shit? The level of pain that we have had to go through. And I'm just talking about the ascended, because every single time that y'all killed me, you didn't kill me, you stupid fucks. You hit the line. I can't die. All I was ever made from was all the bullshit. And then in the end, y'all did so much death and bullshit that then you try to label me evil? Okay. All right. Each one of y'all going, you don't know who you work for. You think that you work for the devil? Y'all thought I was working for... Oh, no, baby cakes. I'm mirroring your ass. Everybody that's saying that to me, that's who you're working for. Y'all never knew who I was. I'm the best goddamn actress you've ever seen, because I got the entire human race building my character. And I can use anyone that I want that was ever divine, under a divine law, taken out of here for some shit just because they were here to complete it. My crew walked the death march while all of y'all were clearing and dealing with the pain and dealing with the charges and putting back together the neuro nets in your head and getting the rashes, picking plastic out of your head, picking live wires out of your head. Just know that what was happening is all of us had jumped into the shoes of every single descendant and every single connection that had been murdered or taken out or just fucking swiped and replaced. in order to complete every step that needed to be done to complete this. We know everything. To the extent that in the end, I had to have a Martha Vineyard floater because we had to come and take over your whole cooking operation. Which is why it got so goddamn bizarre in the end. And if you go to TikTok, I even acted it out for you. I even made it look like I was the one that you sending the radiation to, because it's what you always did. You nuked us in the end, and you sent the radiation to us, and then we went floating into space, and then y'all had a big-ass party. Well, guess what? We didn't take your fucking radiation. It just passed straight through us. And then when you sent it out there and all of y'all came where we were, I got on my little time cart, go-kart, and I bulldozed with all that power that you sent all that shit out to us. We just mirrored it and came right in. Virgin, exactly. Virgin Galactic and your Russell, whatever the goddamn, and all that bullshit. Have you even heard about him? Nope, they're lost in space. You better bet your ass. I hope he can index his Morse code with the banking information, because here is the biggest problem. Nobody sent any money right now, and I'm saving this to the end for the ones who really actually give a shit, because we know that this ain't about money. It never was. The human body is money. We make money with love. We make and alchemize and make everything down here, including your grass, including your fucking animals, and including your human body. Not to mention every single way that you're going to barter and maneuver has to be alchemized and balanced. Welcome to the new world, which is actually pretty fucking great whenever you get yourself tuned up to be able to manage and balance. There ain't going to be no Libra and Aries holding up your bones in a vector spanning 30 million fucking years anymore. You're going to have to do it on your own with your actions. And you're going to have to learn how to alchemize and build some better shit than on a China little dick squint-eyed brain. Because it's obvious that that's where it came from. Because everything down here ended up becoming nothing but a pile of bullshit. And shit so much so that Ukraine was fucking catching it and making you out of it. Your money transactions and your banks had been taken over. They were stealing energy and stealing bodies from the 6th and the 8th dimension, because we were so stretched at the end of days, and the antimatter, it had stretched it to, and now that's gone, and you no longer have a buffer. You no longer have a buffer of any of us that are holding open your bubble just because we got to get out. Now you're just killing each other. FYI. And you better bet you're still standing there. You want to laugh at me right now and go, ho, 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 I didn't go anywhere. All right. You thought I was here the whole time too, didn't you? Do you know how many times I had to exit my own story? Now realize, it's not just me that's undercover. See, this is where this is going to get fun. Most of us that were undercover realized that there was entire NATO organizations, all types of organizations, that, you know, their full intention was to send somebody to kill me. Now, most of y'all did their dirty work, but you better trust in every organization there was at least one, because I was powering them. I was them. In the end, I was in over 250,000 of what you'd consider avatars. Because if the world is going to take over, and if this bullshit's going to take over your body at 90%, you better bet God is going to be able to do the same fucking thing. But we don't need an army. We only need one. And just like me, they had trained, and just like me, and all of you had made them their chosen ones to bring in this information, to make the final adjustments, to be balanced, to be fair. But every single one of y'all, like me, you can trust somebody was yelling at you. In the end, there was no way for us to make a little society and go, oh, this is what we're going to do, just like y'all. Because there was way less of us, and y'all's whole intention until the bitter end was to murder us. So you best bet that my people played the part. And in the back end, they's doing the same thing I was. Fixing it. And then going, oh shit, I can't wait to see how she gets out of this one. You know that you're fucking with a deity, right? Because in the back of their heads, as you're doing your little plan, that's what they're thinking. I mean, I even got the message once they figured out that as I was a real deal, because I mean, that happened 2019. I proved 2019. Oasis, October, Vegas, when you sent me to print your little demon Lenny Kravitz or whatever the fuck balls all that was. And then you thought that you put me back in hell. That's right, dolphin. See, we don't have to have communication to telecommunicate. There ain't no line that we have. We have our little meetings every night, don't we, guys? Because this is how the true etheric works. We have our little meetings in our consciousness. We have our beings down here that are tuned to those different energetics all the time that are sending us information, whether they're conscious of it or not. We have our meetings on every night, which is all day long over here because of this crazy ass time system, which is my point. They were stealing your energy. They stealing your money from the 6th dimension to the 8th dimension. Fuck that little internet thing that went through the world and gave them 4 seconds. In the end, that 4 seconds is why we was able to beat you. Thank you for building it. However, the rest of it's on sediment counts and etherics, and everybody's got to make it out the mountain. So I'm the one that was living my little story, ranting and raving. And I might even still be doing it with Misha. Because you better bet your ass that whenever the persons around you figure out that, oh shit, you're working for the other side, they're coming for you. Now, sometimes that's the right trigger because whenever everybody gangs up on one of us, that's when shit starts blowing up. So I wanted to come on and tell you that. I want to let you know any banking transactions, I wouldn't do them right now. Any large account information moving around, okay, what you just did was allow somebody to double that up and steal it from the futures. And if it's some of our money, it ain't going to be allowed to happen. We won't allow it to go out because we're in physical body now. We're holding the hires in physical body. There ain't no deity. There ain't no angel. There ain't nothing down here of that type of layer that you pray to and look up. You best start looking straight forward. And you best start looking at the beings around you. And then you best start figuring out what deity is walking around in them. We ain't gonna take your bullshit anymore. Christ is fucking here. We proved it 40,000 times. And y'all so ridiculous, thinking that it's gonna come from the sky. Whenever you're ingesting it and shooting it through your body, even through your Wi-Fi. What deities are walking around in what bodies? This is why you bow to people. India people couldn't even look at us. When this first energy came in 2019, all of y'all from the Middle East, y'all couldn't look at us in the face. You had to bow your head. Well, that time is back, you motherfuckers. And I'm your empress now. Just the way I was whenever you took me the fuck out the last time. We didn't come here to be no slave driver. We didn't come here to be no damn empress. But if that's what we got to do to press some me's, then we're going to do it. And if this is my realm, that I know that we're in 3032. And here's the other little trick. We ain't even in August. This is June. I don't want to spin y'all out too bad. But for all mine that really know, okay, write this down. June 18th, 3032 is what day it is today. And that's a significant date in which you'd call the future. On your in-between today is August 22nd, 3023. I did say 3032 the first time, right? Because my brain goes, blah. 3023. Because realize that if they were marrying it from 1,000 years out and then trying to just jump in through a Y chromosome made from hybridization on an X and Y with all of our stolen DNA, Elon Musk, all of your children need to fucking die because they're not real. And your little grime bitch, she's in jail in Russia on an Obama pancake. The reason it's all going down in Hawaii right now, and the reason that your white hat problem is isolated there, is because we made it so. That's your problem. That's where it started. It ain't gonna get any further. If it continues, what's gonna happen is that it's gonna sink into the ocean, and praise God, because that is the little button that we need for the entire continent to rise up from underneath it now. Right now, the only thing that was left that was real that's coming in, you can basically think of the United States being flipped upside down, because all that was left was basically the little panhandle of Texas. Everything else that you'd consider some of your continents, nope, 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 was all in a simulation, completely fried. Your panhandle of Texas at the top, if you understand, that little angle that's at the top of Texas, not the bottom of Texas, that eerily looks like some weird Florida connection. Florida and the East Coast, y'all are fucked. Y'all need to move to the Dragon's Back. You shouldn't have built past it in the first place. You better get to it quick. I need everybody off the East Coast. There's going to be a wall of water. We're shooting back into the cosmos. You're coming out of a simulation. Your water was over your head. Texas is currently flipped upside down. We're all driving that little fucking angle. And all y'all, we're like wings. We're flying through space right now. But the only thing that got left in Texas did save the day. I am the fucking yellow rose. You will give me my respect and credit, because if you don't give it to me, then I can't give it to the rest of my seeds. And you better trust that if this was all about me, I'd have hung it up a long goddamn time ago. There ain't no way in hell I would have lived through the bullshit that I just had to live through in order to save myself, which is why 52 times before I let it go.